You know, for the longest time, I really didn't enjoy this world. As best as I can remember, I liked the idea on paper, but not in execution. Not enough spooky stuff, not enough color. This muted, melancholy forest felt a bit anticlimactic to me. It's not that it was bad, just another case of different expectations. Taking it for what it is, I think Gloomy Gulch is no less beautiful than any other part of the game, and Ghostly Grove is about as perfect an introduction as a guy could ask for. This is part 27 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 2. I know that wasn't the most attention-grabbing intro, and at risk of losing more of you, I'd love to take a moment and riff on a few things before we get into the level itself. I used to get the feeling that Gloomy Gulch was sort of, for lack of a better term, tacked onto the back of Crazy Cramland. The previous two worlds, while only one level longer, felt a lot bigger, a lot more expansive than this one. Same goes for K. Rool's Keep after this. After spending some more time with it, and if I'm being completely honest, after making the DKC2 section of my first Halloween special, it's now one of my favorite moments of the game, and probably my second favorite all-round world after Krem Key. It's a tight, thematically consistent package, and like Gangplank Galleon and Krem Key, tells its own self-contained story. I'm a sucker for that kind of narrative movement in games like this. This level's visuals are stunning, which might seem like par for the course with this game, but I honestly think the Enchanted Forest tile set, and this level in particular, really is a step up. The vibrant foliage, the spooky dead trees and the beams of light that make it through the canopy, the background that, like in the bayou, seems to stretch on further than the eye can see, all mixed up with the music and gameplay is just next level. Speaking of gameplay, Ghostly Grove is a fairly stock standard level. Clumps, clamp-ons, spinies, clobbers, zingers, and cloaks all dominate the level, with Cruncher, Flitter, and Kaboom peppered in there too. This is actually Kaboom's first appearance, which feels weird to me. He feels like he should have been all over Crocodile Cauldron. The level's gimmick is the Ghost Rope. Introduced very early, the Ghost Rope is a climbable part of the environment that phases in and out of physical reality. If you're holding onto it when it disappears, you're gonna fall into whatever's beneath it. Like so many gameplay mechanics introduced in this game, it's simple yet genius. Basic enough for even the youngest of DKC2 players to wrap their heads around, but still provides a decent challenge. I'm getting sick of saying it, but here I go in vain. The Ghost Ropes, again, are introduced in that 1-2-3 format I've spoken about in previous episodes. The first rope is signposted with bananas and is suspended over solid ground. There's no penalty for failure, so the player can learn the new gameplay element at their leisure before moving on. The second rope is, again, signposted with bananas and over solid ground, but there are two differences. This rope is needed to traverse an environmental obstacle and is suspended over an enemy. Not an instant failure if you fall off the rope, but you run the risk of losing a Kong if you mess up. The third rope is suspended over a pit, so now, yeah, you're gonna lose a life if you haven't wrapped your head around the mechanic yet. Say what you will, but the game is fair. Over the course of the level, the ghost ropes are used in various creative ways. There are runs of multiple ropes over pits, ropes for reaching items or bonus barrels, ropes for vertical traversal, and runs where you have to time your jumps right before the ropes disappear. Again, simple concept used creatively. This game is brilliant. I think the vibrant colors of this level are deceptive, because as we'll see over the next 4 levels, this forest is anything but alive. I mean, it's got ghostly right there in the name. Maybe this section of forest is the last bit of it to die off, or maybe it's the only part of it that gets adequate light and water or whatever. I'm no forest expert, so I don't really know. I do think that between the ghostly presence, gnarly tree faces, and almost unnaturally vibrant plant life, that there's no question as to whether or not this forest is supernatural. Speaking of supernatural, I want you to keep that detail in the back of your mind as we go forward, because it will come into play later on in the series. I'm ending it here because I don't know what else to say. Another Overthinking DKC2 video done and dusted. I really like this level, even if it is about as stock standard as Donkey Kong Country 2 levels go. Gloomy Gulch has a lot more going on than initially meets the eye, and I can't wait to share it all with you. It could end up being one of the areas that tells us the most about the Kremlings and what they're doing on the island. But as always, I might be overthinking it. Until next time, go fuck yourself, San Diego.